Well, welcome back. Welcome to the Matrix Network live, a byproduct of Smear Your Face TV.
Welcome to the jungle.
What has smeared your face this week?
Funny games.
You ever, like, have you ever had a double wipe?
Yes.
I got quadruple.
I mean, like, you know, you had to, like, wipe your crack because it was so sweaty. And then you didn't want to waste toilet paper, so you didn't just wipe your butt with that sweat wipe.
Wow. You live in a very, very interesting world, host.
I mean, you know, there are those people that are really frugal. You know, they'll take a 2 or 3 ply piece of toilet paper and they'll pull it apart and just use single ply.
There's people that just use a stick. You've seen that before.
Well, isn't that just to shove the poop into the toilet hole because it's too thick?
I don't know. I've never actually
Hopefully
delved
they're
into
not using
the
it to wipe.
function of a poop stick.
I mean, a rock would be more efficient than a stick.
I don't know.
That's what they want us to think.
I don't know. I'm pretty conventional, so I don't know what to tell you.
Do you like koi fish?
They're delicious.
Have you ever ate one?
No, actually, I haven't, to my knowledge.
You know, that's
I
what's
would, though.
interesting.
I would,
I've
though.
never eaten a goldfish.
Well, they're kind of tough to fry up.
I mean, you know, goldfish can get pretty big if they're in the wild.
Yeah, well, actually, koi are goldfish, aren't they?
Yeah, a type, I guess.
Yeah, and some of them are massive.
And so I always wonder why nobody's eating goldfish.
I am
Maybe
right
they
now.
are, and they're not talking about it like squirrels.
Yeah, it's like, is that a taboo? It's like we're not supposed to eat goldfish?
Well, I mean, it'd be kind of sad. You know, Timmy comes home one day and the goldfish is gone from his little aquarium. And, you know, Grandpa's sitting over there with a napkin tied around him and he's got a fork in his hand and, you know, a little tartar sauce. Sad.
Well,
it's very sad.
Same thing. I mean, you just tell little Jimmy that you had to flush the goldfish down the toilet because it died. You ain't lying. It did die because you cooked it and you ate it.
And you will be flushing it one day. Yeah. Maybe 24, 48 hours.
Clock it.
Well, you guys can look it up. I'm not sure. I heard the reason why they don't let goldfish into wild ponds and stuff because goldfish would grow exponentially and they become a predator. So that's why they limit the size of the tank because it also restricts the size of the fish. That's what I heard. I mean, I'm not sure if that's true or not.
It is.
But think about it. If it was big like a, you know, one of those like Louisiana catfish. Now, I just now I want to eat a goldfish.
I have cheese flavored goldfish in my cabinet.
No, I want to eat a real goldfish.
If we were close to one another, I would just come over and give you the goldfish, man.
Yeah, I'd give you a goldfish too.
Yeah. The Midas touch.
That's not
the
like a
snack that
code word for
smiles
something,
back.
is it?
You're gonna give me the king treatment?
Midas treatment.
Yeah, some of that
Your
fishy
fish will
fishy.
be gold. Yep.
And give you some of that tuna salad.
Oh wow.
With mayo.
You know, sounds like gas station food. That's
Gas
delicacy.
station sushi.
It's that southern delicacy. But anyways, outside of all of that, hopefully you guys are doing great. Tuned in for another great episode over here at Goldfish Station. I don't know about you, and I'm just going back in my idea. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't allowed to have a dog. My mom was very meticulous about having a very cleanly environment.
What about a donkey?
No, nothing outside of fish. That was the only thing I was allowed to. And we had a nice aquarium.
Your neighbor had a donkey.
In Korea, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying in when we were in America,
No.
yeah, we didn't
Donkey is the Korean word for dog.
Ke is the word for dog. Donkey
Did you say
means
cat?
is a poo dog.
Oh,
Cat
yeah.
is the word for dog.
Cat.
Could get confusing.
K.
Like ke,
Like kettle.
Like cat.
ke, yeah.
Yeah.
But donkey is basically a stray dog, but it's basically dong is poo in Korean.
Yeah, it sounds like Shrek when it says donkey.
Mm-hmm. But
What do you
I
say
always-
in donkey?
there's all kinds of like domesticized fish people buy. I just never hear about anybody trying to eat any of them. Like we had angelfish, we had kissing fish, we had all kinds of fish, and of course I didn't think about eating it. But I always wonder why nobody tries to eat these fish.
They might.
Koreans don't
Would
eat
you-
goldfish?
No, I've never. I mean, yeah, they eat all kinds. They eat sea urchins, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I've never heard of them eating goldfish.
Maybe it's just not
Is
as
that a
efficient.
common thing over there?
No, it's. I don't think
Well,
it
It
is.
might not be that much
There you
meat
go.
on their bones.
Like, yeah, yeah, no. Oh, that's interesting. It's just thought. Why ain't nobody eating these fish? Anyways, outside of that,
Could be sacred.
well, there's other
Holy cow.
animals too, like hamsters and guinea pigs.
People in Ecuador eat guinea pigs. It's called koi.
Mm. Maybe something
Cool.
happens when we domesticize things. We just don't want to eat it.
Wasn't that fish in Matia Piranha? Was I can't remember if it was a goldfish. It was a little fish, and the guy saved it and put it in a bowl because it grew, and then it grew out of that, so he put it in a pool or a pond or something. Then it outgrew that, so he put it in a bigger ocean, and it eventually outgrew that too, and it started talking to him.
It outgrew the ocean.
Yeah, something like that. It kept growing bigger and bigger, and then it told him that there's a big flood coming. Because he saved it, it said it was going to save him. And lo and behold, a big boat, a flood came, a big boat with 8 people came and rescued him.
Well, it outgrew the ocean.
No, I don't remember. That might have been its final stage. It's been a long time since I've read that. Piranha.
It's like the Jugger's talking in space.
Well, it was a fantastic story.
I was just visualizing.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Anyways,
Here's an interesting fact for you guys. I wasn't aware that domesticated goldfish are actually a form of carp.
they kind of look like carp. Their scales do.
Yeah. Although they don't recommend eating them because they have a really very little meat and an extremely unpleasant taste.
Mm.
So I think we've solved the riddle there.
Clock it.
Well, that's what some people think about
And rock.
carp, and also they think it's really difficult to clean carp. But I've had carp. I don't think it tastes bad.
I think it's difficult to clean a carpet.
Well, I guess it depends who owns it.
Indeed. You can't spell carpet without carp.
Right.
Now, carp are fun to catch. They put a good fight. But
That's why I like them. I don't eat anything without a good fight.
another
Go
fun
fishing
thing,
with a shotgun.
another fun thing to catch when I lived in Florida was stingrays.
Yeah, those don't fight so much. I never eat one.
Oh, those things put up a good fight.
Not
They're
for
like
me. They
fishy
just
pancakes.
Yeah. Some people they like. Some people use them for like simulated scallops.
Huh.
Mm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like imitation scallops.
Yeah.
Yeah, But anyways,
Isn't that what killed what's his name? Irwin? Steve
Who?
Irwin? Steve Irwin.
Yeah, the guy that got stabbed in the heart by the very thing he loved.
Yes. Well, isn't that true of most things in life? You wind up getting stabbed in the heart by the thing you love.
Wow, you got a story to tell us?
Doesn't everyone?
Well, I mean, that sounded like really fast, really instant, like right on your mind, right on the frontal lobe, like something resonated.
Well, everybody
Listen,
resonated.
I've been around the block a couple times. Trust me.
Well, you have a love story?
Nah. I'm not bringing folks down today. It's an uplifting day. We want to uplift.
Stop beating around the bush about how you beat around the block.
Hey, listen, we've all had our hearts broken at some point in our lives, right? It happens. It happens.
How's that song go? Cracked in the heart, and it's too late.
Took an 8-ball and made it great.
Yeah. You give love a bad name.
There
you go.
Do you like 8 balls?
Sometimes I play pool.
It's great. I
Sometimes
don't know where we're
Sometimes I swim in the pool. Yeah, I mean,
for some reason I feel like right now we're just going in circles.
Tommy Boy's on.
Yeah, people are slow trickling in. I think they're shocked.
No, Iron Man Bill jumped on right away. Said sup nerds. And Tommy Boy just jumped on and said, Elder loved the healthcare system, and that got him good. That's true. Healthcare system did screw us over. Yeah.
What would you do if you couldn't afford health insurance? Would you move?
I guess what are your options? Live without the medication that you need. You live as long as you can with the condition you have. Try to make maybe some adjustments as best you can in your life. I mean, what did we do before we had healthcare? What did we do before we had a lot of these medications? You just live your best life, and when you go, you go.
That would be really tough, because if they cut off all health care and they said you had to pay up front or whatever, and they said you can't even get information off YouTube, they made health information on YouTube and other social media illegal. Like the YouTube just wouldn't allow it to be platformed or whatever, all these apps. That would suck.
Well, that's what I was asking, because the end solution would be, would you move somewhere so you could get it that provided free health care?
That's a good point. And I'll say this. I guess to answer your question, I wouldn't be as concerned for myself as I would for my family. And, having a member of the family that needed medication to give them better quality of life, then I would probably do what I had to do. And if that included moving, I'd move. Yes.
Yeah, but that's a painstaking process too, to get citizenship in another country. And you have to do all this while you're trying to seek medical treatment. It's hard to concentrate on filling out paperwork when you're in a lot of pain, or when you have a terminal illness. You're going to die.
God bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you. And that'd be really tough, especially here in America.
The worst part is knowing that there is. Yeah, I mean, knowing that there is stuff that can help you, and you can't get to it because you can't afford it. Yeah, that's even more frustrating.
Yeah, and if information itself, so I just had a root canal recently, and I wouldn't know, just identifying the tooth that's actually the problem. I wouldn't even be able to know. People are like, okay, you can just pull the tooth, and I don't mind pulling my own teeth. I could do something like that. Sure. You just close your eyes and you just do it. You just have to do it. You don't think about it. The problem is, what if you pull the wrong tooth? And some of those teeth, when they get closer to your wisdom teeth areas,
Yeah.
those get real dangerous because those are connected to bigger nerves and more blood flow, and you can cause real damage. That's why if you get infections in those teeth, it could actually go into your brain, and you could have all kinds of other problems, all from one stupid tooth. So,
yeah, I had a wisdom tooth taken out once, and it got infected. It got impacted and infected. So I guess that would explain a lot in my case.
Finding out which tooth you would like, because I'm like, okay, well, how do you know what tooth to find? Okay, let's find out. I'll just go on YouTube and try to YouTube it. But YouTube, as soon as I can't talk. As soon as I can't talk today. Anyway, YouTube, if YouTube doesn't have the information either, not only are you not going to be able to help your teeth, like figure out which tooth it is, because YouTube will give you that information, but if the internet, if all the information is not allowed on the internet at all, like you can't, let's say you have some swelling on your arm, you can't Google it, you can't YouTube it, there's no such thing as Mayo Clinic or nothing. Then you just have to.
You're right there, buddy. Wow. Too much carbonation
the reason
today.
why I was thinking about the construct of revenge, and is revenge actually worth the energy? Because I was thinking earlier when we were talking in the pre-recorded, because I didn't say it then, but I was thinking about when you were talking about waterboarding. How many people would actually torture somebody?
Depends what they were after.
Well, that's what. But we know that torture is usually a ineffective method. People will say or do whatever they need to get out of something if it's bad enough. Doesn't mean you're going to. Most likely, you're not going to get the truth. You're just going to get something to get out of the situation. But people will torture just for the sake of their idea of justice or revenge. It's not so much just for information. And so I was thinking when I was thinking about all that, it's like, yeah, a lot of this is connected to reciprocality or, justice. And the reason I was even thinking about any of this is because a lot of times people deal with healthcare, and that causes people to have this revenged idea because it seems they feel it's a very unjust situation because they're stuck in this monopolized situation. They don't have a choice. It's life or death. Now I'm forced into this monetary slavery of a medical debt or medical situation that, you just might not be able to deal with, and it causes people to get very vengeful.
Yeah, I mean, think about the concept of insurance. You're paying for a guarantee that you will be compensated when something goes wrong. Like, I mean, life insurance. Life insurance pays out if you die. And if you had somebody sitting around saying, "Oh, well, we're not going to pay out that life insurance because well, they died because they choked on a peanut and or whatever it is that colleagues eating," and that's not right. I mean, but instead, like for health insurance, which colleague may be needing in a few moments, I'm not sure. When you think about health insurance, you're paying into the service, right? And then you have someone sitting somewhere that is going to refuse the treatment that you need. I mean, it's not like people are going to be like, I think I want to get I think I want to get an operation today. I just feel like it, so I'm going to cheat the insurance company into giving me an operation. No, I mean, people that are going to health insurance to pay for things, they need it. They need these things. They need the medical coverage. And the fact that there's someone sitting at one of these companies that has the ability to refuse somebody medical service they need, even though they're paying for the insurance to pay for it, that seems ludicrous to me. It makes my blood boil.
Now, you saying that, how far would you go to get that injustice satisfied?
Well, I mean, I certainly, if you're kind of leading me down the Luigi, what's his name path, I certainly wouldn't go that far. And honestly, I don't condone what he did. I understand people being driven to that, especially if you have a loved one who is being refused treatment. But I can't condone murder. I just can't. I understand frustration, but that's not the answer.
You can't or you won't. I think it's interesting.
Well, I won't. I can't and I won't. I'll say both. I won't condone it, and honestly, based on my personal beliefs, I can't condone it.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up Luigi. I think we all know we're not talking about Nintendo here.
Oh.
Like, Host didn't say anything about Luigi, and you brought up Luigi. What does Luigi mean for you?
Well, it's honestly it's a symbol, and I think a lot of people why they were backing him and believe he should be innocent, and why they're looking at him as a hero because of that whole concept of a revolution. You know.
Well,
I was trying to. Is there a gas leak in the studio that I don't know about?
I was trying to lead to the.
Okay.
Like, I've been thinking also this week, outside of tropes and cliches, was also about the construct of revenge. We all have the feeling of revenge, but would there be any situation for you to actually take a revengeful action? Anything to justify, and not thinking of doing it?
Well, I think there's isn't that the challenge of any moral concept is when driven? I mean, it's easy to have morals and beliefs and, guidelines, but when you're driven to a situation, and obviously one of the most terrible things that we can probably think of is a loved one being harmed in some way. Either, like a parent or a wife or child or, whatever. I mean, who wouldn't, as a human being, be driven to want to exact some kind of revenge on the person who harmed them? That's a tough call. I mean, as a Christian, which I've been open about it. I'm not. It says thou shalt not murder, and and the fact that in the end, God's going to basically pass judgment on that person. It's not our place to seek revenge.
So when you face if you face an injustice, do you feel like it's better to let that injustice just ride out? No matter how severe the injustice is, like somebody killing your child and them getting off scot-free.
Yeah, that would be one of the most difficult challenges to my moral code. Obviously. Do you believe you would do something? I don't know. I pray that I never have to face that decision.
And then the higher question is
deal with in this life.
Would it be justified if you did?
Depends on your moral code. There's some people that would say certainly. They live by eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
It was like that one guy that I think a year ago, his child was being swayed by an online predator, and it was habitual. And eventually he got released and went after them again, and they went with this individual. They got raped by that individual. And the court system eventually just gave him parole. And so then that person went and killed that person.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult not to see that as justice.
Yeah, the father wanted to avenge their daughter.
Sure.
And most people said, good riddance. He was just doing a public service.
Absolutely. It's hard not to see it that way.
Do you think you would feel the same justification?
I don't know. Hey, listen, Erica Kirk publicly forgave whatever their name was, for assassinating Charlie. And I'm sure that in a certain level, she probably meant that, honestly, due to her convictions as a Christian. But I've no doubt as a human being and, an emotional human being who was very much, I'm sure, in love with her husband, I'm sure she wants the most severe penalty that the law could provide for that person, and I imagine if it's a death penalty, then so be it. So yeah, it's
a very difficult thing, like when I think about it, because when you think about morals, it's usually a byproduct of your social construct of your society. And then when you feel like your society's system of justice has failed, you only have two options. You just have to accept it, which means you're accepting that your society's justice system, you're conceding that you're living in a unjust system. And then you have to also justify that you're okay with continue contributing into this unjust system and being a participant. Or you're going to have to do something to find justice. I know you're trying to assert because of a religious idea that you're not going to do that. But does that idea of like this piety, does that set precedent for enabling more unjust actions? Like, I was trying to think, is revenge actually a good thing for society? Because at some point, it rectifies the precedent that you don't, as a society, want to keep on condoning a unjust system. Because if you don't do it, then it just keeps on snowballing into the system that we're just going to keep on allowing unjust systems.
I think the only way to justify, the only way I would take revenge is if somebody did something to me or someone I loved first. And that would be the only way I could justify it.
Well, even if you look at it from a secular view,
got some napkins right there.
I think we may have to call 911 for a colleague. He's having all sorts of problems, man.
Usually this is behind the scenes. He's always doing it anyway. Today, just being a little bit more open.
Keep an eye on him, man.
As you can tell, it's nothing but a thing to me. I'm not, it's whatever. It's just another day in toilet smear town.
I guess as long as he cleans up after himself is fine.
Well, yeah, it's fine.
So, I was saying that, from a secular standpoint, I think it would be easy for people to justify revenge. The only problem is, like, when you, like, what standard do you set then for, like, an eye for an eye, a tooth for tooth? If people are like, well, you cut me off in traffic, I'm going to get my revenge, I'm going to go kill you. The response is a little bit, inappropriate for the infraction. So would we have to, as society, even then have to monitor the dishing out of revenge per case? Like, would you still have to, like?
Like, in my mind, it's not like when I think about revenge, there's two layers. There's a personal vendetta, and then there's the larger idea of trying to rectify a bad precedent. And I think the top goal is to make society continually upholding justice, but that's usually not the intent. The intent is to feel like your personal justice was satisfied. But I don't know. It's a tough thing, because if you continue just saying, I'm not going to do anything about it, I'm just going to continue believing in the system. Not, you're just progressively allowing more corruption. And then not only are you allowing it, you're going to continue paying taxes, you're going to continue contributing, and you're going to just live your life as though nothing was wrong. But you know, all it's doing is perpetually increasing an unjust system.
Well, that goes back to the whole idea of revolution. At what point is the, and I think this also folds back into what we were saying about Luigi. At what point is the first shot fired in a revolution? Obviously, a lot of people thought that he was doing that, which is why they kind of look at him as a hero. He fired that first shot. Now we got to continue the revolution so that we can completely revamp the health insurance system. And as you can see, I mean, and you know, say what you will, there have not been any follow-ups on that. But at what point, you know, when the actual revolution to change society occurs, you know, exactly who's going to fire that first shot, and how is it going to, as they say, the shot that was heard around the world, you know, Bunker Hill during the revolution. I mean, that created a whole a country that became world superpower. So, you know, what happens when, you know, at the time, if I'm sure if one of us, you know,
well, that's a larger spectrum.
That,
now you're just fighting for precedent, but there's always a personal. A movie that probably everybody's seen that kind of resonates this idea is that Denzel Washington movie, John Q, I think is called. Is that it? The one that he was trying to force the hospital to help his son?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
And they just wouldn't, so he went in there with a gun and tried to force them to help his son. Because it was, you know, the situation. And, you know, that's a force of personal, but that's because the structure of the system was being pressurized. But then there's a personal thing. It's like if somebody went after, like, kidnapped somebody I cared about, would I just trust the system, or would I try to do something to avenge the person who kidnapped somebody I cared about?
Well, what did Liam Neeson do?
I don't know who that is.
I will find you.
Don't you feel that in your heart? Don't you feel like you have to go after the people that kidnapped your loved ones?
I think everybody does. That's why we all relate to that movie. That's why it made it so big, because everybody felt that.
Right. That's why those movies are popular.
So then
That's
why does
revenge
anybody
movies are popular?
So then why does anybody think they're just going to let it go and trust the system?
Because of the law.
But then we all feel in our heart that it's only right that we go and chase after the one that kidnapped our loved ones.
Right, but what's going to happen in real life if you do that? You're going to go to jail for murder.
Maybe, but
I don't think there's any maybe about it.
Well,
I'm
just saying,
you're going to go to jail for killing another person.
Maybe, but is that where you stop the line? So you say, oh, so now I just chalk it up to, I'm not going to pursue the one that kidnapped my loved one.
I don't know. Do you want to if you want to spend years in prison? Sure, go ahead. There's consequences to everything, and there's consequences to revenge.
And so that's the question.
You get the satisfaction of taking out the person who harmed your family, but you then have to pay the consequences of taking that life, which means then you have to go to prison.
Well, not everybody gets caught. You can do it in a way that doesn't let you get caught. And that's actually a lot easier to do. I mean, even with all the cameras nowadays and all that, the cameras aren't everywhere yet, but it is getting harder and harder to do something like that. You can still play the game, though. I mean, there's all kinds of modern loopholes you can take.
I'm not thinking about the outcome as much as the intent. Like, could I ever just let it go? That's what I'm trying to think of. Like, revenge is a personal intent.
You're talking about forgive and forget.
It's just, I trust the system. And could I ever really do that?
I
don't think I can
answer that.
I don't think I can.
Honestly answer.
I just don't think I could.
Yeah, I don't think the pain will ever go away from the loss of a loved one. And the fact that somebody took that loved one from you is always going to be attached to that. So every time you think of that person, you're going to think, they could be here with me right now if it wasn't for that one person.
I think if I had time, like I didn't act impulsively, maybe I could overcome. But in the moment, I don't think I could. And then I started thinking, is that bad? I'm talking societally. Forget like if there's like a religious idea or something like that. Societally, is it good that we want our societies to allow unjust actions of our legal justice system to continue to set precedent when they continually tell us to just trust unjust resolutions? Is that a good thing? Because then you just get callous to it and everybody just, we just have to accept it. Yeah, you might die, you might get caught and all that, but is that good for society, that we don't have that idea of setting precedent that we don't care, we're going to stand up for what we believe is just?
Well, there's one rapper, I think, said it best.
Yeah.
Go for it.
He said, and I quote, "I feel like we must have missed it. We built a whole society around riches. While kids in Africa putting food on their wish list, we're out here buying more Benzes."
So is he being vengeful?
No, he's just
Are you just
calling
speaking
it
open
out.
word here?
Yeah.
Spoken word?
Call it like I see it, referee it.
Okay.
Amen.
I already knew.
So now that we've had our little interesting say, what do you think about going to the chats and seeing what's going on?
Yeah, go ahead. But it's a tough thought for me because I don't know if I can think revenge as a society is a bad thing. Not perpetually, like every day I'm seeking out revenge, but when there is real injustice, I don't know if a society should accept that perpetually.
You're talking about like bringing what India does over here as far as the revenge system. Like you get caught cheating, you're gonna get hurt. You get caught stealing or killing or something. The whole society is gonna drag you out and stone you to death on live. They're gonna film it too. Like everybody, man, women, children are gonna come and start doing this.
Well, if that happened as a collective, then yeah, we probably wouldn't have to worry about those revengeful I'm talking in our Western society. We live by a very structured trust of authority of government, so we don't go out and do that perpetually. But
yeah, because the only problem with that is you may be an innocent man,
right,
but because
That's
the mob,
what I was going to say. Yep.
yeah, the mob has deemed it that you're not, so now you're going to die a horrible death.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the collective. But usually revenge is a personal thing.
Just because of some Karen.
I'm going to go out there and do something. I'm not going to ask the community to do it. I'm going to go do it because it was personal. Somebody kidnapped my loved one.
Well, it sucks because that could benefit a woman, a weeping woman who just got hurt by a man in an alleyway, and she's out running into the public because she knows the police aren't going to do anything. It's going to take them years or whatever. It's going to take the court system years, and the guy may get out and all that. All she has to do is go out to the public and say, "This guy just hurt me. This guy raped me," or whatever. And it's over. Now, yeah, that could be a fault. Like she may be lying too, but in the off chance that she's not lying, that guy's gonna he's gonna feel it.
Yeah, but see, that's a collective society, which already preludes the idea that normities in a collective society are very different than an individual society. Like in a collective society, they already have a lot of restrictive normalities and laws because they already know everybody's going to chop your hand off. So you probably don't have that as much because they know it's very easy for you to get your hand chopped off. So it's just probably not as often because they already know it's quick to get your hand cut. In individualistic societies, it happens often because now you have this process. So I think that's just part of the byproduct. And also in those areas, if a woman said that about a man and she was seen as a liar, she's going to get executed.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a part of that society. If people aren't just arbitrarily saying things, because people will just get executed. We can't mingle the two. There's probably a give and take there.
Well, it is a faulty system at some point, because what if she was right? That man did hurt her, so they killed the man. But then later on, somebody accuses her of lying, and now all of a sudden she's gonna get killed too, just like him. Well, and even though she wasn't lying, so the mob. This is why you need a justice system. You need to provide evidence. Somebody's got to review the evidence and then make a judgment call, which is still not a perfect system either. I mean, if you look at our system we have here in America, judges get bought off. They don't do all the homework that they should. They don't look at all the evidence. They don't care. They're biased. So there's faults in both systems.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about revenge, personal revenge.
Yeah, this is where Dexter comes in. And if Dexter was real,
I don't think I have to go like pathological.
Well, sometimes it's necessary. If there was real, psychopaths are real, but why they don't? Well, the thing that makes them psychopaths is why they're not going to care enough to hurt people who are hurting people. That's what makes them psychopath to begin with. So
they won't stop either.
Yeah, but they don't have to. There's always going to be an endless amount of other psychopaths. That if you're a psychopath, you could take out all those other psychopaths, all the other rapists out there, chomos. You can go get them all day long. You're never going to run out. That's an endless supply. You can go to other countries. You can go anywhere you want. You're going to find those kind of people. It's too bad that Dexter doesn't exist, that we know about.
I was going to say one more thing, but I think we got some chat. I think somebody gave a super chat.
Yeah, that was Iron Man Bill. And Bill says with the super chat, colleague has a drinking problem, like on Airplane, the movie Airplane. Do you recall that?
Leslie Nielsen Airplane?
Huh? You've seen that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Those are some of my favorite movies. I think they made 2 or 3 of them, actually.
At least 2. The second one had Bill Shatner in it. And it was pretty funny. It was more like it was about a shuttle on the moon or something instead of just an airport. Anyway, we were talking about that earlier. Favorite movies. There you go. That is a good one. So I'm going to go through the chats, and then we can return to this discussion if you like. But I started off today. Rack 'em up. I started today by saying I'm watching you out there. I don't know why I said that. I just was bored, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so Iron Man Bill came on and said, "Sup, nerds?" And I said, "Yo, flying in now, arriving at gate 42." Let's see. Then Bill said, "Carp is what the Jews eat as gefilte fish." And he said, "Gefilte fish is pickled carp, and it's disgusting, just like them." See, you shouldn't have added, Bill.
I don't understand, Bill. I thought you said you were a Christian. That's
yeah.
I don't understand. You're kind of giving Christians a bad name. If Jesus is smiling on your comment here, I'd be shocked.
Well,
you guys don't like pickled fish?
Elders.
Well, you wouldn't pass that. He's saying that there's actually a group of people that are disgusting out there.
I can't read it. I haven't got my glasses.
I don't understand how, because he's open about being Christian, and I don't understand how that works out. Help me make sense of this, Bill.
Yeah. He said, "Elders, the old kid on the block." That's for sure. Just had a birthday recently too, so I'm even farther along. But I said I like gefilte fish. I had it with fresh horseradish. I was at a Passover. Not I'm Christian, but I happened to be at a Jewish friend of mine, his house, and it was kind of interesting. And they had gefilte fish and horseradish. I liked it. I don't think
I've ever had that kind of fish before.
Yeah, it is kind of. I mean, a lot of people around the table had a bit of a problem with it, but yeah, I guess anything with horseradish, you can kill it. And then Bill said, I went to the hospital for 5 days, got 5 blood transfusions, that it was almost $400,000. And I had to pay about $380. Let's see. He says 93% of women with breast cancer had a root canal on the same side they had. Oh, I think he's saying the same side they had the root canal on is the side they had the cancer on. All the crap that they're drilling out goes into your lymph nodes right down your throat. Oh, my goodness. All right. And I said, God bless you, Bill. I'm glad you had coverage. And then he said, I don't trust that Mayo Clinic. I'll stick with the Mustard Clinic, which is another reference to airplane. Although I thought it was, I have the Swiss hospital on line 1 and the Mayo Clinic on line 2. And he says, well, hold the Mayo, give me the Swiss.
Sounds about right. I haven't seen those movies in so long. They're good. They're due for a good watching.
Yeah. Well, any movie that is based around puns, I love it. I'm a punish guy, and I really do like those puns.
You're a Punisher?
Did you watch The Punisher?
Yeah, actually, but that's
you
not
like
very
being
funny,
punished?
actually.
No.
No.
Anything with Leslie Nielsen.
Cross the streams here. Don't cross the streams.
I think anything with Leslie Nielsen in it has my thumbs up.
Yeah. There was a movie. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's an old movie from the 60s. It's called Casino Royale. And it's a parody on all the James Bond movies. It's very funny. Had a lot of famous people in it, including Woody Allen. And not to give away the end, but I'm going to give away the end. Apparently, he was supposed to poison one of the James Bonds with this pill where you belch so many times and then you explode, and he accidentally swallowed it. And through the end sequence of the movie, when there's this big battle and everyone's fighting and everyone is parachute, it's crazy. It's insane. But you see Jimmy walking through the casino where it's taking place, and you just see him belching and counting, and then he gets down to 0 and he explodes. And the reason why I just went through all that is because I'm listening to colleague over there just kind of belching, and I'm afraid that eventually he's going to count down to 0 and just explode, and the screens are going to go black. Anyway, that was a long walk for a very bad joke.
I can't really help it.
Well, God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you.
We may have someone new here. Chris Humble, 1702. You guys recognize Chris Humble?
I do not, but welcome to the stream.
Yeah, welcome. Always excited to see new folks. He or she, well, Chris could be. They said, I've never really been a religious person. I like to replace God with the word love. And that's how I like to look at my spirituality. So I say anything done out of love can't be wrong. I'll get into that after let's get into that a little later, because unfortunately we can misconstrue what love is. Let me go through it, but there's quite a few more. Let's get caught up. Bill says, thanks, Elder Adu. And then he says, I always wondered, I have 5 pints of blood put in my body. If my veins are coursing with black or Hebrew blood or not. And I wrote, oh, absolutely, Bill. And it saved your life. So that's something to think about, because you know what? Quite frankly, we're all the same on the inside. If every human being in the world got turned inside out, not only would it be disgusting, but we'd all look the same.
What if you got transfused with artificial blood?
Well, hey, listen, as long as I'm drawing breath afterwards, works for me. I don't care. You could put antifreeze in there if it's going to work. Monkey blood. I don't care. Will it save my life? Sure, do it. And then, Bill says something pretty intense here. He says, Jesus saved my life, but yeah, maybe that's why I hate myself. Dude, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Yeah. He said, my sister's husband was murdered and she let it go. She forgave the dude. I still want to do other things than be nice. I hear you, man. I hear you. I think there's a lot of strength in trying to forgive someone who did that, but I think there's a lot of strength in restraining yourself from, taking that law into your own hands. But I'm not saying it's easy.
I think there's a lot of strength in taking it in your own hands too.
Well, yeah, I mean, because to do that, yeah, well, yeah.
Well, didn't
I have
Supergirl, that new Supergirl movie? I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
somebody reviewing it said that there's a line where she's telling a little girl that revenge is not the way. And she gives this long speech, apparently, in this long talk with this girl about how you don't want to take revenge. It's not going to fix anything. The cliche adages. But then the Supergirl actually takes revenge and kills the bad guy in the end.
Oh, man, I can't believe you blew that for everybody. Man.
Have you seen it?
No.
Oh. Well,
I knew that happened.
Well, I figured it. I mean, it's a typical hero story. You kill the bad guy in the end.
That's one thing about revenge. Everybody feels it, but it's just as hard as it is to restrain. It's just as hard as to complete.
Well, it's also best served cold, but it's also
good
palatable.
Served hot.
Yeah, hot. Sometimes even warm is doable
Steaming,
too.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
Well, that's more like entertainment. I don't know about warm.
Oh.
That might be a little devious. Like hot or cold is good.
Warm though I can do it like that.
It's like you're playing with your food. It's like you're liking it a little too much.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, yeah, that's.
Anyways,
anyway, yeah. Don't get me started on the Superman stuff. Superman does not kill. Anyway, Maverick. Maverick says, "Weeping women weeps on Wednesdays." Other than some nice alliteration, I have no idea what that means. Bill said, Willie's Willie was very chilly. Again, apparently we're starting a poetry circle here, which is kind of exciting. I like rhyming.
How many winks can Willie's Willie get winked?
Oh, yeah. How many I can't even do it. Iron Man Bill says, Jesus physically what people... Okay, Jesus physically what people and started flipping tables over. He didn't just think about them. He did physical damage. So I'll go after what Jesus did. I don't think he minds me saying they're disgusting. Oh, I see what you're saying. In other words, there were things that certain Jews were doing back then that offended Jesus because he was one of them. And he was like, you're in my father's house here and look what you're doing. And he was very angry. I get the point. I get what you're saying, but I think it's important to carefully pick, the audience that you're targeting there. What's the old saying? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. We're going down here. Oh, Pirate Nerd Mom. Oh, Pirate Nerd Mom is here. Hi. Jesus was Jewish, so claiming to love him and hate them in the same time doesn't make the slightest sense. Maybe try to be less full of hate and racism and see how it goes. Oh, well, I can't argue with that point. I mean, honestly, I think the whole spiel, Jesus's whole spiel was to kind of love everybody, love your neighbor, love everybody, even turn the other cheek, people who have, offended you. And I know it's much easier said when you read it, it's those words are easier to read, but they're very hard to put in practice. Iron Man says, El Dorado. I like that. El Dorado. It makes me sound very, like I should have a sword and a mask. Anyway, Tommy Boy says, artificial blood is coming soon. I hope so, because I just read that there is a very, what do you call it? A desperate need. The blood banks are getting emptied. So I hope they do come up with it and it saves a lot of lives. Iron Man Bill says, I'm pretty sure Jesus was Christian because the entire religion was named after him. He was from Nazareth, not Jerusalem. That's true, Bill, but he was in fact Jewish. He was of Jewish descent. He was a Jew. He started Christianity because he died, rose again, and all the Jews were supposed to, along with the Gentiles, were all supposed to believe that Jesus rose for us, for our salvation. But a lot of Jews, not all of them, some of them did turn. Some of them did follow Christ, and they became, quote, Christians. Some Jews did not. They ignored him. They refused him, and that's why we still have Jews today. In theory, all the Jews should have converted to Christianity, but didn't work out that way. Anyway, Chris Humble says, just to get ahead of it, I believe that the love you have for friends, family, others is all the same. To me, there is no difference, but I must admit I don't have any children. That will definitely change your attitude towards certain things. And then Chris said, and that's the one most people tried to argue with me. Yeah, because I think, yeah, it is tough. I mean, a parent, a spouse, or a child. I mean, yes, I think the child is probably the hardest because, again, they haven't had a chance to experience life. You're taking away their entire life. Whereas if an adult is killed, they have at least had a life up to that point. Children haven't had a chance to experience it. Pirate Nerd Mom says he was ethnically Jewish, obviously. And then Tommy Boy says the people who tell you revenge is not the way are usually the people that are attacking people. What percentage of GDP goes to violence? I don't know. That's a good question. What percentage of the gross domestic product goes to violence? I guess it depends on what you consider violence, Tom. I don't know. That's an interesting question.
It seems like that's the end of the line here, and there's three big conversations going on.
One thing I just will say, which I've said many times, there's a difference between regular men and violent men. Most men are not violent, and that's a good thing. But that's probably why, is that a byproduct of our societal function? But that is a big thing. Most men think that, we're all going to be competitive and fight. But there's a big difference between violent men and just men. And I don't know if people understand what I'm saying, but that's a reality. Like, there is violent men. And then there's men. Naturally, we're protective. We are aggressive. And then there's violent men.
Hosts, I think you might have to expand that a little because I have seen some young females behave with extreme violence.
I'm not trying to make it a sexist thing. I'm just saying, on the assertive side, we know that most aggressive crimes are done by men. I'm not saying clearly women can. I think women are aggressive, probably more than men, but it's usually done with the tongue. Now, of course, there are some women that are massively aggressive physically, but that's not my point. The statistics crime. Most aggressive crimes are done by men. I'm just saying, there are men that are violent. Like, they don't have any issue on hurting somebody, really hurting people. And then there's people most men are protective. I think that does make a spectrum on why you see crime the way it is. But that is a...
Yeah, to me it seems like the more violent somebody is, just they're more primitive, caveman. They don't know how to adapt to society, so they're very belligerent. They think how I get things is beating people over the heads with a club instead of having a conversation, coming to an agreement, and an agreement that'll actually benefit them even more. Because the person you may be hitting over the head may actually be able to help you. That may be your doctor, but because you just bash them over the head, they can't help you now. But yeah, to me it just seems like a distinction between very primitive caveman, ape-like men, and then more sophisticated intellectual men. And there's a wide spectrum in between. But to go back to Iron Man's statements, I have to agree with Pirate Nerd Mom and Elder here. It's the New Testament. Iron Man was written by Jews, right? Like, you wouldn't even have the entire Old Testament was written by Jews. You wouldn't even know who Jesus was if it wasn't for these Jewish people writing about him. As Pirate Nerdmon pointed out, Jesus was a Jew himself. And you have a lot of statements in the beginning part of Acts. Peter, a Jew, one of the elite apostles, he tells everybody, the Jews and the Gentiles and everybody, that Christ is for everyone, Jews and Gentiles and Scythians and all them, right? Like, I guess I'm still trying to figure out what version of Christianity you have that bans specific groups of people based on a skin tone or blood type. I guess I'm still curious about that. So if you could respond how that works out in your system.
Yeah, and please understand, Bill, it's just a matter of understanding. There's certainly no attack or anything going on here. It's just a matter of us trying to understand. That's all.
And also, I'm not saying that you should go support the people that are claiming to be Jews today. I'm not saying you should do that either. I'm not saying go support Israel or Hamas or Palestine or whoever. I don't really care what you do or don't do with your money and time. Yeah, I'm more interested in what you're trying to say, I guess.
There's
also, if we could respond to what was his name? My stupid computer's doing some dumb now.
Oh. Well, there's Tommy, there's Bill.
The other
Chris
guy,
Humble
Chris Humble, yeah.
Chris Humble, okay.
Yeah, Chris Humble. As far as God being love.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. And, I've had that thought a lot, too. But at some point, there has to be a distinguishment when you start talking about names, because you can't really say you love somebody if you don't know their name. Not really. Nobody's going to believe it anyway. I mean, you can deceive yourself into thinking you love somebody that you don't know their name. Like, you can stalk some woman through her window and say, I love this woman. You can stalk her. But if you ever tell her you love her, or if you tell anybody else you love her, nobody's going to believe you. Unless she actually knows your name, too. You know her name. You guys actually mutually say you love each other. Nobody's going to believe that this relationship is real unless it's mutual.
Yeah, it got disconnected. We're back. Sorry about that slight freezing.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually froze what I was saying or just my face froze, but I'll just say it real quick. Yeah, so not every God is all about what we call love here in the Western society. Chris Humble, if you're saying that God and love are interchangeable, you'll have to give us a name for the God you're talking about so we know how to define what you mean by love. Because the love in Islam is a real love, but it's defined by Islam's scripture, their God. Christian love is a different kind of love. It looks vastly different. Hindu love is a vastly different love. Buddhist love, Egyptian love, all of these different loves are going to look different. Vastly different. But they're all going to call it love. So you'll have to tell us the name of the God you're thinking so we can have that conversation.
I'm interested in replying to Elder's response, which is, he said, anything that you do out of love is good.
That wasn't me.
I thought that you responded to that. You said,
Hold on.
and that's why I asked earlier, do you really believe that?
Oh, hold on. That was after Wow, that's way up there.
Yeah, that was probably way up there.
Okay, so this is where Chris said, "Yeah, I've never really been a religious person. I like to replace God with the word love." Right. So I'm saying anything done out of love can't be wrong. That was Chris Humble. That wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going down. No, I said no, it definitely wasn't me. Beside the point that I don't actually believe that. So because
So
these
you think
terms
some
are
things you do out of love are bad?
let me put it this way: those terms are very subjective based on the whole perception is reality concept. Um, you're defining terms like good and love, but you're not defining them in terms of an ultimate definition of like a higher concept. You're defining them as what human beings feel, and my definition of good could be diametrically opposed to your definition of good, and the same thing with love. I love you. You need discipline, so I'm going to beat you. Um, I believe for the greater good, I need to slaughter a certain group of people for the betterment of society. That's good. So yeah, it really boils down to the human definition, which you can't have. You have to have an absolute ultimate definition of what love and good is in order to actually say what is good and what is love.
Yeah, and what's going to dictate your definition ultimately? Because everybody's going to come with their definition, and you ask them, well, how do you know? And they're going to quote their Quran, or they're going to quote their Christian Bible, or they're going to quote their Jewish Bible, the Old Testament for Christians. They're going to quote some Hindu text. They're going to quote some Egyptian text, whatever god they follow. And if they're not religious, if they're atheist, then their version of love is going to look like, well, it's fake. It's more of a chemical. It's more of a chemtrails in the brain. Your brain is doing this. It's just the opposite of fear and pain. Love is a byproduct of pain and fear. Yeah. So it's not really real. It's just a way to survive. So everybody's got a different definition of love.
Yeah. And I would say for me, you could replace the word love with sacrifice, in my opinion, because I think the ultimate way to show someone that you love them is to make a sacrifice. And it doesn't have to be your life. I mean, just sacrificing something in your life to make their life better. I think that's the ultimate idea of love, whatever that looks like. And for me, religiously, my Lord and Savior sacrificed his life to save me from eternal damnation. So to me, that ultimate love, there's the example. He set the example. He sacrificed himself, his life for me. So I would think the epitome of love for someone, if you're willing to give your life for that person, I think that's a pretty good definition.
That seems fake.
Well, it probably seems fake. I was going to add to what you're saying also, Elder. Christianity definitely has a different it is very unique with that. And the reason it probably seems fake to us is because I'm not aware of any religions, and there's a lot out there, so maybe I'm just not aware. Somebody could probably find one. But I'm not aware of any religions where the God actually sacrifices for the human being.
Right.
Every religion demands the human beings to sacrifice for the gods and goddesses. Every single one of them that I'm aware of. And I'm still studying and still researching. It is a very unique thing that God would sacrifice himself or even his own son. Instead of asking others to sacrifice their children to him, he's sacrificing his children for humans. And for what? Humans can't do it. Like, this was supposed to be a retribution thing. Humans are sacrificing their children and livestock and women and sometimes themselves for the gods to avoid divine wrath. But humans can't spank God. Humans can't do anything. So why God would do something like that? It is very backwards. And it does seem fake to human beings because well, we're fake. We practice our whole lives being fake. So anything real probably does seem fake to us. Not saying that the Christian love is the real one, but it is. I will say it's up there on the totem pole for me as being very unique. I guess the uniqueness of it adds some validity in my mind. It doesn't seem like a human would come up with something like that. And if they would have, they would have. If human beings could have, they would have sometime in some religion. Of all the religions, there's only one. Millions of different religions out there, billions of different gods for each religion, and there's only one that thinks like that. That's weird to me. So you can see what humans usually do when it comes to love and selfishness and what they think about. Anyway.
Well, the reason why I said it was fake is because if the idea is intent comparative to action, how many times does the action manifest? Intent is not good enough if you want to believe something is real. It's like, I have an intent to help you, or do I actually help you? So intent isn't good enough. So if you say that the prescription of love is, you, like Elder was saying, give up your life, you have an intent. You said, I'm willing to, but that's not an action. So do you ever show love in action, or is it just intent?
Well, according to the Christian religion, there's an action involved.
So are you giving your life up, literally?
In the Christian religion, yes, he gave up his actual
no,
life.
I'm talking.
No, I mean,
saying,
someone who's following Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
well, I mean, you're giving up a worldly or secular life. I mean, yeah, in a certain
Is that what
sense,
you believe
you're
your God
sacrificing
did? He just gave up an abstraction? Or do you believe your God gave up some real life?
Well, no, I believe that Christ really did die.
And is that what you think love is that he gave his life?
Yeah, to save.
So then it was an intent that you
save his
believe
creation, basically.
It wasn't good enough for your God to have an intent to give up his life. That wouldn't be love. It was that he actually gave up his life. That's what made love.
Well, there's a difference between intent and practice.
Right. And that's why I'd say, if you believe the action of your God is what proves love, do you follow that action? Or are you just saying you follow the intent?
No, I try to follow the action. I do.
So do you give up your life?
Well, I haven't been put in a situation where I would have to sacrifice my life for
so
someone.
Then have you never loved because you've never done the action?
No, but I've sacrificed. I said the ultimate sacrifice would be giving your life, but making sacrifices. I mean, people make sacrifices every day for their loved ones. I mean, people get up and go to jobs they hate so that they can put food on. No, there are women who struggle, and sacrifice to try to, raise their family and take care of children. And I mean, even going out to work as well. I mean, both parents going out to work, not seeing their children because, they want to be able to support them. That's a sacrifice. I mean, we make sacrifices every day for the people that.
So it's really not giving up your life. It's just trying to think about others.
It's a scale. It's not a 1 and a 0. It's not binary. It's not either you give up your life or you don't, which means either you love or you don't. It's actions.
So you're saying basically, if you think about others, that's what you think love is.
Yes.
Well, to add, he also said earlier, it's making sacrifices.
Yeah, thinking about others.
Yeah, you don't have to sacrifice your life to prove that you love someone.
I know. Specifically, I was just focusing, like he was saying, he was saying he believes that his God gave up his life, and this is what love is. And
well, here's an example.
Intent and action there.
A secular example. If you say, well, I have a heart for people who are in poverty, poor people, and I want to donate to a charity to help those people. If you're a multimillionaire and you're giving, $100 to charity, that's not really making much of a statement in terms of your care. But if you're a person who is maybe, impoverished themselves and making a sacrifice like that would be an impact to you, that is a sign of love and caring, because you care about these people so much that you're willing to take a hit and make a sacrifice, maybe doing without something in order to improve their lives and give them something. That, to me, is love in practice.
Hmm.
It all goes
That's
back
very
to
difficult
sacrifice.
because that means intent of the heart is irrelevant. It's about your situation that determines the magnitude of love. If I have a lot, then my love is only proof if I gave a lot. If I have a little, then my magnitude of love is based upon my
Well,
resource amount, or is it intent, which is regardless of the what you see, but it's my intent.
I don't think you can
well, let
separate
me
the
say this,
two.
host. Talk is cheap. Anybody can talk a good argument.
Right.
Anybody can say they love someone. A man can go to a woman and say, I love you, I love you, I love you, and yet does nothing to sacrifice for her. He sits and plays video games, or he goes out with his buddies drinking, or whatever the case is, spends money on, maybe gambling, whatever the case is. That's love in lip service only. It's not actually the practice of love. And that's, I mean, you see it in relationships. You can see it, and you know it when you see it. When people love one another, you see it, because there is, and especially in a personal relationship with another person, you see mutual sacrifice.
But can
Someone
that can that actually be proved manifestively? Like a simple example would be trauma. Say a very rich person has a very embedded issue of abandonment and trauma. So for them, the issue isn't what you see externally. It's actually just showing anything was actually a big move of intent and action. But you may say, oh, he's a rich person. Why did he only do a little bit? But for him, the real love would be the intent of actually doing anything, because they are so traumatized about doing even a little thing. So they're always seen as very cold and narcissistic. But even a little thing was a big thing to them. But you assess by external metrics, oh, they're a rich person, so they should have gave a lot. But it's really that their trauma embedded the manifestation, which was maybe not a lot externally, but internally it was a big mountain to move.
Sure, I can agree with that, but I'm gonna throw a caveat out there, which, under my belief system and my faith, says that this side of heaven, nothing is perfect. And even if a person who tries as hard as they can to try to achieve that perfection, and even if it's being charitable, they're just not they're not going to they're not going to achieve it. It's not possible to achieve perfection this side of paradise. Now, again, this is based on my religion. I'm not saying this, you know, pushing this on anyone else. It's what I believe, that we live in a fallen world, and no matter what humans try to do, they're not going to get it perfectly right, no matter what they do. And I think we see that constantly in the world. All you have to do is look around you and see how people function, how groups function, how political parties function, how businesses and corporations function. I think it's obvious, but again, I'm looking at it through a lens that I have from my philosophy and faith. It makes sense to me.
Well, there are some underlying principles that I think everybody can agree on, no matter what religious belief you have, even atheists and agnostics. That, you know, the concept, what you're saying, you know, if you really care about something, you're going to sacrifice for it. If you want a boat, you're going to work extra hours. You know, you're gonna maybe not go out, eat out as much. You're gonna sacrifice little things that you want to do or you want to have, but you're going to sacrifice it so you can buy that boat that you want. You're
That's because you love that boat.
That's it. And yeah, maybe a motorboat, and you love it, and that's why you're sacrificing for it. But you'll sacrifice that boat now for your kids or your wife, or maybe for a bigger boat even. You'll sacrifice other things for other things. And that's what it seems like life, where your heart is, the treasure is. You know, that's what love. That's how anybody. So it is a demonstrable thing. To answer your question, host, you can see it. If I told everybody,
I don't know if I can accept that. Like, there's nuance. I believe there's generalizations. That's true. But then there's nuance where circumstance and personal issues and traumas and things don't reflect one for one. There's always nuance, and nuance.
Oh, we're complex beings.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Nuance means it's not a definitive black and white thing.
Well, let's say I tell everybody I love golf, and I'm always talking about how much I love golf. Everybody will be able to tell. Like, well, show us what you got. And you can tell how much I love you. You can see the spectrum. You can see all the nuances that you're talking about. The spectrum to which I love golf. How much does he love golf is defined by how good at golf I am, because that shows how much on the time on the field I'm spending, how much sacrifice I'm making, my own time, sacrificing even time with my kids and my wife to be out there on the field because I love golf more than them, if not just equal with them. I'm spending so much time golfing, and it will show. Everybody will be able to see this guy really loves golf. You can tell Tiger Wolf loves golf, and he went through marriages because he loves golf more than his marriages, more than any other relationship. Golf was where his heart was. If he said he loves women more than golf, nobody's going to believe him. Or he loves his wife more than golf, his first wife, nobody would believe him. He sacrificed his first wife for golf. And that's cool. To each their own. It's just, it seems like, and that's all the nuances and everything else.
See, that's where I'm saying it's still not allowing for the nuance of restriction. So when you like something, it's not always because you have accessibility to the thing you like. Like, if I like golf, I have to ask myself why I like golf. Like, if you're really trying to get to the nuance, let's say I have no hands, but I still like golf. And why do I like golf? Maybe it's because my dad was a good golfer, and I want to be like my dad. But I could never.
How do you know if you like it if you never played it?
Because now that's what I'm saying. Here's the nuance, which is.
I see what he's saying.
I want something, I desire something, but I have something that's binding my action externally. That doesn't change my want. I want to be like my dad. I want to be like this, but I can't. But I have a desire to be like this archetype, but I can't. But I want it. But I'm restricted by something that I can't externally manifest that desire. But it doesn't go away because I don't do it. I just can't, but I want it. But I can't get it.
Maybe we're conflating desire and love.
Yeah.
But because, yeah, you can love something you never had, but then once you get it, or you can desire something you've never had. Once you get it, though, you're like, I don't really like this after all. I got that. I desired that cheesesteak from this restaurant. Once I got it, I didn't like it. I desired to play golf, but I can't because I don't have arms. But then, if Elon Musk gives me arms and all that, I can play golf now, but I decide, wow, I don't know why my dad liked this. I don't like this.
The hypothetical assumes that the outcome can happen, but there are a lot of situations it will never happen, but you still have a desire for it. There's a lot of things like that.
I don't know. Yeah, I understand like what you're saying, but I don't understand how you're equating it. Like,
I'm just saying there's nuance of things that we want and we'll never be able to obtain it because there's a larger thing that we want, but those things are so big, it's just impossible. But that doesn't stop our desire to want it. But there's just, like, if you want to be a trillionaire, you can work as much as you want. You will never be a trillionaire. That's just pure luck. You're never going to be able to work enough and succeed enough to be a trillionaire unless it's luck. But you can say, I want it, and you can try, you could do what, you're just not getting there. And so the idea of want, like, and love doesn't stop the idea of you manifesting the action to obtain it. You may just never get it.
Well, that's probably debatable. I think that's actually a debate that's been going on for a while.
But there's a lot of things like that.
One guy actually tried to prove that you could he's a millionaire, and he locked all of his accounts. We talked about him a few times before.
Like, you can't force a woman to love you.
right.
But you may love this woman, and you want
Absolutely.
it no matter what, but you can't force her to love you. And no
Does
matter
that
how hard
invalidate your
you
love?
try, you can't force her to love you.
But
There's
does
just
that
some things-
invalidate your love?
There's just some things you can try as much as you want. You just may not obtain it.
I think the problem is you're talking about a target, a goal, like attaining something.
Well, that's the
I
idea. Like colleague was saying, if you love something, then you will pursue it and do it, and you show the world I love
If
golf.
you're talking about an inanimate object,
I see what you're saying.
or an inanimate concept, sure. If you're chasing something that has a free will of its own, an animal or other human being, they can run away from you. So now the love has to be mutual, and that's the trickiness.
Yeah, what you're doing is you're confusing two synonyms. When you say you love something, like I love golf, you love it because you enjoy it.
No, you
Or
don't love
because
golf
you
because you
said
enjoy it.
because you desire it.
Nobody loves a thing because of the thing. People love a thing because of the outcome. You love golf
okay.
because of a multi-factor thing. It's not a one-for-one thing. Like you love
Wait a
golf
minute.
because of community, acceptance, praise, the action,
I
the
am
activity.
not going to argue that point with you because, quite frankly, I agree with you. You're going down a rabbit hole. And
All
that
I'm
rabbit
saying is
hole
I think there's a lot of nuance in that.
well, yeah, right. And that's everything that we do on this planet is for it has to do with our brains and the chemistry in our brains. So what you're saying is kind of like a given. There's no argument, right? Because it's brain chemistry. And so that's not the point I'm trying to make, because it's obvious, and I agree with you. What I think we're trying to say is the idea of loving another person. It's not loving a thing or loving an activity or loving, you could love your the boat that you're trying to get. You could love golf because you get a rush playing it, whatever the case is. But it's not the same as having, a love for your partner, or a love for your parents, or love for your child, or love for a pet even. That is a different concept we're talking about here than the quote love of something else. That love is a desire. And desire to me is very dangerous to lust. And lust is a sin. So you have to be careful when you say, I love doing this. I love this boat. I love my car. I love golfing. I love gambling. You're saying is, I enjoy these things, I desire them, and they give me a sense of pleasure. That is not the same thing as saying I love my wife. Even though there may be similar actions in it. You may love being with your wife. It may give you a lot of pleasure. It might give you a high because you love that person so much. Yeah, but they're two different, in my opinion, two different things, two different concepts. And I think people use the word love way too easily and way too much in describing things. Like there's other adjectives they could use that are more accurate than the word love. We just throw it around very easily.
When I'm talking about love, to clarify some more, I don't think you have to obtain something yet to say that you love it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Like you are working for a yacht, and you're sacrificing time with your kids and your wife to get that yacht. But it's going to take you 20 years before you can actually get the money to get the yacht. 20 years of sacrificing with your kids and your wife. So you are constantly sacrificing for 20 years, but you haven't got the yacht yet. You're at 19 years and going. Could somebody say you love that yacht? I would say, yeah, it seems like you really love that yacht. You're sacrificing everything else for that one yacht. Or another example, somebody may be loving another woman more than their wife. So they are going out and cheating, but they're not willing to let go of their wife because they still have feelings for their current wife. They don't want to hurt their feelings. Otherwise, they would have just said, I don't like you. You're whatever, ugly, whatever, your flaws. But they haven't yet. For whatever reason. There's a little bit of love they still have for their current wife. And but they're sacrificing it all because they know it's all going to be on the offering plate, all on the altar here soon. Once the cat's out of the bag, it's all going to get sacrificed at the same time because this woman this other woman you're cheating with. But you thought it was worth it, so you're putting it all on the altar, so that way you can sacrifice it for this one woman. But you haven't got the woman yet, and you haven't committed the sacrifice yet. But I would say that, yeah, it seems like you love that woman. Now, the way I'm using love here is in a way that religious and non-religious people could agree to. Maybe they don't, but they could agree to this. This is just a love that is the opposite of pain and fear. It's a love that just means safety. It's interchangeable with the word safety. And I think a lot of religious people use the same type of love as well. Talking about human interactions with humans, human interaction with God, and all that. Now, a lot of religions...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to address something you said, but you finish your thought, and I'll get back to it.
Well, I was going to say a lot of religions, the gods claim to love human beings, but they never do anything for human beings. It's just claim. That's all it is. The great god Amun-Ra claims to be a father figure to humans, claims to love humans, claims to be a father to the orphans, a caretaker to the poor, a husband to the widow, and all that. He claims to be this compassionate, loving character, but you never see him ever actually make any sacrifices. And that's something that everybody can agree on. Even non-religious people can agree. Well, if you claim you love golfing, but you don't even have a golf club, you haven't even ever been on the field, then you don't really love golfing. And you're not in a wheelchair. You have 2 arms. You have 2 legs. There's nothing physically wrong with you. Nothing is restricting you, especially if you're a god or a goddess. Nothing should be impossible for you, and you're claiming you love something. You would think that you would go do something. Like, you would do something. Put your feet where your mouth is.
Prove it.
And and that's where I say the only one that's consistent to that is the Christian God who actually did that. And they, again, all the gods claim to be unique and everything. They all claim to be loving, and there's only one that I actually have ever seen in my studies and research. There's only one that I've actually seen follow through with that. And I think that is something that should be studied more by a lot more people than are studying it. But regardless of whether you believe in the Christian God or not, who cares? It should be studied, because whoever devised the content of that book was a genius, because somehow nobody else thought of doing it.
Yeah.
At minimum.
I think that was really well said, and I appreciate what you said. I want to go back to your examples you were using, which I found kind of fascinating. You said if the whole family is sacrificing to get that yacht, I think in that instance, if it was just the man who was sacrificing to get the yacht, that would not be, he would be loving the yacht exclusively. But I think if the family all agreed that their goal was to get the yacht, to mutually enjoy the yacht together, and they were all sacrificing, then I think that's okay, because they mutually agreed this is a goal that the family is going to work towards. And I think that's wonderful. And I have no problem with that. If the example you used with the person having the affair, I think it's interesting, because he's sacrificing another human being for his pleasure and for his goal. In other words, a goal. Like, he may be in love with this woman, but he's harming his family by doing something dishonest. Now, if he met this woman and he was like, all right, I we need to be together, and then he went back to his family and then worked it out where, he's just like, I want to be this other person, but I want to make sure that you guys are all taken care of and that everything is okay. Like, if you're going to do that, you do it in a sensible way where there's the least amount of damage done, even though I agree it's not a good situation. Like, a man shouldn't be abandoning his family just for his own compensation. But I think there are ways, if it's something that you're so driven to do that it will impact your care for your family, then yeah, something has to be dealt with. But I think, quote, cheating or doing something behind someone's back, there's no way he can still care for his family and do that. That's not part of it. He's just trying to save himself face. So that's how I kind of chalk that up.
Well, I'll just end with my thought is what I think real love is the pursuit of a desire regardless of the ambition of the outcome. If you are doing a derivative solely because of an outcome, that's not love, that's a preference type. Like, if you can love someone regardless if they'll love you back, because that's what you want, that's the outcome, I would say that's real love. Like, you're pursuing it because you want that, but you'll do it regardless of the outcome. That's actually genuine. Now, I don't know if that happens that often, but that's real. You're not doing something contingent on outcome. You're doing something based upon a desire alone. And the outcome is basically a bonus. If it happens, it's great. But you love something, so you pursue it. And you're not saying, I'm doing this so I can get X. You're doing this because you love that whatever. If it's contingent on a positive outcome, then it's basically like fire insurance. I do this because I want a benefit. Now, of course, that's natural. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I don't know if that's love. That's a preference. I would say if there is something that's loving, it's I'm acting regardless if my positive desire outcome is going to manifest or not. That's what I think it is. And that's probably a very rare thing, but
Host, I can speak to this in real life, which is kind of funny. You just said what you did because my current wife, and yes, this is my second wife, 2.0. I upgraded. My current wife, I chased after her for about a year. I pursued her for a year, wanting her to go out with me, and she eventually conceded. And of course, we're married almost 25 years, so I would say it worked out well. But the funny thing is, she always equated me to Pepe Le Pew and how he would chase after that cat, and the cat would just keep running and trying to escape, and yet Pepe Le Pew just kept persistently, going after her. So yeah, I can speak to a real situation where I felt like I wanted to be with this person, that I had a genuine feeling of love towards her. And it was just, just trying to get her to be in a position to say, hey, here I am, just give me a chance. And eventually she did, and it has a happy ending. But I know exactly what you're saying because I was there.
Golf example. If I see someone golfing and they pursue golfing, yet they still suck today as much as they did 10 years ago, and they're still golfing, I say you love golfing. But if you're still golfing and you're getting better and you keep on having this goal of what I want to get to, and that means you're pursuing the function of the outcome. Yeah. That's great, and you probably have an affinity towards golf, but the outcome is what you want. But if you'll continue doing something, regardless if the outcome is positive or not, I would say you probably genuinely love that because it's irrelevant of the outcome. You just pursue it anyway.
I don't know if you can really separate it, but that is true. There seems to be an umbrella here where some people do pursue golf just for the outcome, or they pursue psychology or religion for the outcome.
That's natural. Yeah, we do those things because we want outcomes.
They want the paycheck usually. That it's what it is. It's money.
Really, why do we? That's an incentive. Yeah. Like we need incentives and motives.
Yeah. Skateboarders will do the same thing.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. They just want the paycheck, which is cool, and they'll get good because of that paycheck.
Fame,
but
or the popularity, whatever.
But at the same time, the one who loves skateboarding is going to do it no matter what, and they're going to sacrifice everything else so they could make sure they get the best wheels, the best boards,
and maybe they
skateboard.
Won't get better, but they still do it.
I don't know if you can separate that, though. I think you're going to get better. The more, whatever you practice at, you're going to get better.
There are some people that lack certain ability, but they just have this desire. I like doing this thing.
Yeah, you're not going to get. Maybe you won't be the best, but you'll get better than you were before.
Maybe incrementally, but
progress is where it's at.
But that's not your objective. I just like doing this thing, whatever that is, or I just like this, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I pursued this thing. It's not so much the outcome's a bonus, but it's not the outcome. That's probably really rare, and that's probably hard to see, but I would say that's probably a pure form of loving whatever.
Well, I think everybody has that.
Yeah, there's probably things we do.
You can see where people's heart is
But
based
that's-
on where they spend the most time, money, and energy.
Right, but if they quit, that's how I'd say you were focused on the outcome.
Well, see, that's what's funny is if
Yeah.
you're sacrificing money to get this hobby, whatever it is, like building toy jets or something, you're sacrificing money for something that's not making you money. You're sacrificing time for something that's not making you time. You're sacrificing something for energy. You're sacrificing these three currencies for something that's not going to have any return. And that's where that guy's heart is. He really likes that.
Yeah, it's just not focusing on outcome. It's just the thing or a person or whatever.
And there's
But
a difference between liking something and loving it too. I mean, I
I'd
like
say you'd have to
playing
love
board
something
games, but
to pursue something with very minimal outcomes. That's more than liking something.
Yeah, and
yeah.
to answer
Yeah.
Chris Humble's question, can anyone give me an example of God not being able to be replaced with love?
Yeah, I saw that too. I was thinking about it.
So
Yeah.
that's
What do you got?
you got to define God first.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to define love and you have to define God. And I might throw some
Well-
things in there to help you define those things, just to clarify what you're meaning. And you can wrestle your thoughts and put it in the comments. But
It's very subjective because everybody's going to have a different definition. Like you can make anything fit, but it's going to be fitting based upon your definition. It doesn't make it true or not. It just makes it axiomatically true based upon your premise.
so here's some things to consider. Oh, the chat was disconnected. Oh. And now it says it's successfully connected again.
Yeah, we've
We're
been
having some
having.
connection problems.
We had a couple times it went on and off.
Well, anyway, here's some things to think about. Was it love when the sun god, Egyptian sun god Ra, wanted to get with his granddaughter? And when she said no, because she loved Geb, the other god, she said no to Ra, her grandfather. He cursed her. So he cursed his granddaughter for not wanting to get with him sexually. Was that love on God's part? Or, here's a different religious example. Was it love for the creator god, Brahman, in Hinduism? Was it love for him to sexually get with his own daughter? To create human beings, as he says. So he had to get with his own daughter. He couldn't just create human beings out of thin air like the other gods. He is the creator. He created everything out of thin air, but for some reason he couldn't do it with humans. So he had to get with his daughter. When he was rebuked by his own sages, that's what he came with. Well, I had to do it so I can create human beings. That's why I had to get with my own daughter sexually. There's nothing in there about consent either. Was it love? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say maybe to give you a little bit more direction because they're interesting examples. But Chris says, all right, start with the Christian God, and then says, then do Allah if you would like. Of course, the Christian God being and the Muslim God, Allah. They're two probably the most popular generally. So.
Well, yeah. The reason I'm pointing out these is because this is the reason you can't just say God as a generic God. Like this is why you need a name. Because if you just say God, nobody knows which God, what. Because the God you pick is going to give you a different definition of love. Is what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah,
that's going to dictate your definition.
Yeah, they said Yahweh and then obviously Allah. So.
Yeah. So. The Christian God says to love your enemies. The Christian God says to have died for his own enemies, the people who killed him He willingly went to death, let them kill him so he could save them. Allah, his version of love, says kill your enemies. And not just kill them nicely. You need to cut off their thumbs and their toes and then drag them behind a horse. And this is repeated all throughout the Quran. So, different gods, different definitions of love. If Allah is the real God, then that is what we need to bend out. Whatever you think love is, you need to conform it to that definition. Whatever you think love is, you need to conform it to the Christian definition if you're Christian, or the Buddhist or Hindu or Egyptian definitions, or we can go to any gods, whoever your God is. That's what you need to that's who you need to let define your definition of love.
Or you can just create an abstraction. You can say, this is the God I believe, and you just give it some definitions, but you have to give it a box. You have to define its attributes or characteristics. You can't just say a word. We don't know what that is. Like if I tell you to define a tree, you can't really tell me that. You're just going to tell me what it's a woody stick thing. Like you're just going to start telling me what. So you have to define something. You just can't say tree.
Chris said something interesting. Like I said, out of love can't be wrong. I think we are all God.
Well, that poses
That's an interesting take, because you could say we're all part of God. We were all created in the image of God, but I don't believe that we are all gods unto ourselves. Because I haven't created a universe lately, so I mean,
you can believe it. I guess you just start believing that, like some solipsism idea, like you are God and everybody's fake and you live in your own. I guess you could believe that.
Yeah, I mean, in a form of philosophy, you can, but
right. I mean,
I don't think it's going to get. It's not going to get you very far.
I've actually played out this thought several times before with people. And he says you can create your own
manifest your own reality. Yeah, but that's yours privately, and we have a shared reality, which makes it a little trickier. I can't get you to be part of my reality.
Not anymore.
Because mine keeps showing. Like right now,
mine's bouncing too now. The chat's bouncing. Yeah.
So, if we are, this is why we have to define God now, because if we are all gods, and I noticed you put a lowercase g as well instead of a capital G as in before. But anyway, it doesn't matter. In what sense are we gods? Because as far as we know, I can't prolong my life anymore. We can't live forever. You're going to die one day. I'm going to die one day. We're all going to die one day.
Right.
So you can't control whether you're going to get hit in a car accident or not. You can't control that. You can't control, like what Elder was saying, you can't control or create your own reality. Like if you want to manifest that everybody is a bunch of dogs, they're not going to turn into a bunch of dogs. So that manifestation stuff doesn't work. I've tried it many times, and many people have tried it as well. What they're talking about is this vague sense of basically, and they say it's coincidence, right? They're like, oh yeah, I manifested. I really wanted that job, and I kept manifesting and manifesting and manifesting, and then eventually I got the job. Wow, isn't that a miracle? Because I manifested it. And it's like, but if you ask them, they were turning in applications. They were putting in a lot of time and energy. They were making sacrifices to get that job or to get that waistline that they wanted.
There were efforts. They just didn't sit in their house and said, I want this job, and all of a sudden it appeared. Like someone came now knocking at their door saying, here, we'd like to offer you this job.
Yeah. Manifesting just means you're actually wanting something, and you're just acknowledging to the universe that you want that thing, but you can also see it in your actions because you're actually pursuing it too.
Usually they just call it the law of attraction.
Yeah. It's not really as magical as people.
I do believe there's a power in that though, because you have to have, like on a map, you need a direction to go somewhere. So I don't think, just saying something don't do anything. You need a direction, and then you will pursue that direction. There's power in that for sure, but I don't think it's arbitrary like some kind of a mythical thing. But I do believe you are fulfilling your objective because you are now showing on the map my pathway. It's not there yet, so it is fictitious, but
Well,
you
it's an
can
easy.
kind of say you're attracting that pathway.
You can test it really easily. Turn everybody to a pencil. Manifest that everybody's a pencil, and see what happens. Or why don't all these manifestors out here in the whole world? Not one manifester has been able to fly. Like, manifest that you can fly. Just start floating. Don't jump off a building or whatever. Just start floating. Manifest it hard enough. Maybe it'll take 10 years, but eventually you'll start flying and floating
Some
off
of
the
them
ground.
Probably do. That's probably why they jump off a bridge.
Yeah, but that's why I said you can't cheat. That's cheating. You have to just start levitating from the sidewalk. Start floating because you manifest it. And what's stupid is if you talk to these manifesto people, they'll acknowledge, oh, well, I can't manifest that. You have to manifest things that are actually reachable, like a job
Within the realm of
or
physics,
a waistline. Yeah, things that you can do, you can achieve with your own actions. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Got to
I
follow the
assume
law
that's
of
what they're
physics.
usually talking about, right? Are they talking about flying?
No, nobody is. They're
Yeah.
talking
No,
about
that's just
things that you
Right.
can
That's what
actually
I'm saying. It's
achieve as a
usually just
human
that
being.
law of attraction
Mhm.
stuff. Like,
You know,
you have a
I am
direction
curious.
path and fight
Chris,
towards it.
you're coming up with some great points here and great questions. I was wondering if maybe you'd be willing to come on live and talk to us, because it might be easier for us to interact, um, speaking to one another. I mean, if you're willing, I certainly don't want to force you
You
or
don't feel
anything, but
pressured. If not, you can keep chatting along.
yeah,
But maybe
yeah,
you should
absolutely.
just read them through real quick, because I do see we have quite a bit.
I also want to real quick throw that out there too, Chris. We're just brainstorming with you. I don't know how long you've been following us, but maybe you know this already. We're not trying to tear down your ideas or anything. We're thinking with you, so don't hear us like ridiculing you or critiquing everything. This is just how we talk.
Yeah, and we're obviously we're fascinated in discussing this with you too. So yeah, let me go back up and oh, cool. They say for a while I love toilet time. Ah, good old toilet time. All right, let me go up and try to. Yeah, there are a lot of comments here. Um, let's see where I left off back in the olden days here. All right. Iron Man Bill said, "I knew a Chris Humble who had a fat bundle of green, if you know what I mean." Okay. He said that's pretty good. And then Bill says, Jordan Peterson said most men should be violent, but they know how to control it. I think men need to be capable of it in order to, be the defender of those, either the family or, I mean, just weaker folks. Um, but yeah, I think that potential for violence has to be there, but you obviously have to control it.
There's an
That's
old
important.
Eastern Asian adage, which is very popular, which everybody hears, which sums it up. I'd rather be a samurai in the garden than a gardener trying to fight a war of a samurai.
Yes, that is awesome, and I think that
And
sums it up beautifully.
there's a difference between being real bravery is knowing that I am capable and knowing my ability to restrain it.
Mm.
It doesn't take a lot to just act on impulse,
Sure.
but it also isn't bravery when it doesn't take a lot of control. If I know I'm a monster, but I know I can hold it back and use it wisely,
Yeah.
that's a lot different than just being a monster.
Yep. Chris says, I maybe referring to the I knew a Chris Humble with a bundle of green. But Chris said, "No way, Bill. Where are you geographically located? Midwest by chance?" And Bill answered, "Charlotte." And Chris said, "Word." And Chris said, "Been known to have an affinity for lettuce." Okay. Then Bill said, Henry Kissinger said military men are stupid animals to be used as pawns. And then I said, is a weapon. Oh, I missed. No wonder I missed typed this. Is a weapon not used still a weapon? I wrote to used, which of course was a typo and it didn't make any sense. But I was saying, is a weapon not used still a weapon? Bill says, what version of Jewry, talking about someone from Jerusalem or Israel or their religion? And then I said, Tom spoken like a true arms dealer, referring to something that he said and erased. I think he said about playing, being in the middle, playing both sides or something. Yeah. Then Chris said, that's not love, but infatuation, really. I think when we were talking about some physical attraction. Then Chris said, yeah, colleague, that would require me to do much more research. I guess I'll have to get back to you. I don't know what point was being made, but Bill says Jeffrey Dahmer loved eating people. Does it make it right? And then I shouted, Tom, because he said he was leaving. And then Bill says, late. Not sure what that meant.
I think he's saying later.
Oh, maybe. Oh. And then Chris sent an icon. Oh, I think it was a saluting icon. And then Chris said, yacht, not simply a boat. Oh, when you were talking about the boat, you're getting the motorboat. I think they were referring to the fact of it should be a yacht, not a boat. I gave a thumbs up, and then I sent a canoe. And Chris said, how about you can only love living things? Oh, okay. So defining love, they were saying, how about you can only love living things? Which I guess was my point. I was saying about you not really loving objects isn't really love, but loving beings like, humans and possibly, animals, pets. Let's see. And then, we're almost caught up. This says, can anyone give me an example of God not being able to be replaced with love? And I think colleague did an awesome job of citing some examples there. Kristen says, host, what about drugs? And then Chris went on to say, okay, start with the Christian God, then do Allah if you'd like. Then goes on to say, like I said, out of love can't be wrong. I think we are all God. You can manifest your own reality, elder. Not if you don't believe. Not my spirit or soul, or whatever title you would like to sign. Then YouTube bot chimed in and said, what about nicotinamide monoglucotide and B1? I don't know what that means, other than brain chemistry, possibly. I don't know. Then Chris went back. Obviously, I can't, because my desire to do the things you mentioned, I know can't be achieved. For a while, then we asked if how long, and they said for a while, I love toilet time. And then Chris laughed, LOL. And that brings us up to date. There we go. I need a drink. So yeah, we have, I guess, about a half hour left. Chris, if you'd like to come on, I'm sure host would post the link, but that's up to you. We'll leave that ball in your court.
What does love got to do with it? Got to do with it.
What's love but secondhand emotion? Yeah, I know no one joined this chat to hear me sing, so sorry about that.
We forgive you.
Thank you. Thank you. See, to forgive is divine. So there you go. Yeah, some interesting stuff here about manifesting reality. I mean, that goes back to what I say all the time about perception is reality. I mean, you can create whatever reality you like and live by that, but it doesn't mean that the other entities that have the ability to create their own reality is not going to clash with yours. Then they might not all sync, or be sympathetic to one another. So, and maybe that's part of humans. Maybe that's part of our condition. We're all trying to create our own reality in our own little, bubble of our minds, and which is why we clash with people, because our version of reality isn't, meshing with theirs. So there's conflict. It's an interesting way of looking at it. But I mean, I think in manifestation, I mean, the other thought is like, if you truly wanted something, I don't know. I know that there are beliefs people have that if you desire something, if you try to bring it about, that it is possible to bring about these things in your life if you truly believe in them and you want them bad enough. But I think that's more of a self-programming, a method of self-programming, so that you will then behave in a way that will bring about these solutions or these goals, whatever they are. I don't think it's truly manifesting them out of nothing. I think what it's doing is convincing yourself you need to do certain things if you want to achieve this goal. The example used of sitting in your house and doing nothing and expecting someone to knock at the door and hand you a job, that doesn't exist. That's not reality. You have to put effort into it, and that effort isn't always going to pay off either, which is important.
Well,
Anyway.
Chris, also, one of the comments you read, he said, obviously I can't. Well, first he said, not if you don't believe. And then he said, obviously I can't because my desire to do the things you mentioned I know can't be achieved. It doesn't sound like God talk to me. If you are a God, if I am a God, there shouldn't be anything impossible for us. And like, now, yeah, maybe that you have to define the different gods, because different gods, there are some things that are impossible for them. They wanted things that they couldn't have. But that seems like it diminishes the gods of different religions. Again, the God, Jesus God, and the Yahweh God of Judaism, they both have no problem with saying nothing's impossible for them. And yeah, other religious gods seem to be a little smaller. And if you want to say we are small gods, that's fine too, but it doesn't really change anything. If being a god just makes me human, then what difference does it make? I may as well just say I'm a human. Like, I don't mind walking around telling people I'm a god. I've known many people that do that, by the way. They literally walk around and say, yeah, I'm a god, you're a god, we're all gods. And I've asked them the same question, like, in what sense? Like, aren't we going to die one day? Yeah, okay.
God bleed.
Yeah, like if I get cancer, I can't just manifest it away. I'm going to have to go get treatment or do something. I can't even control my own life. I can't add, I can't control, huh?
I said, boy, howdy, when you said I can't control my own life. I said, boy, howdy.
Well, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
I'm not just talking about Weight Watchers either. Like, I try having a diet. You can barely even control that. But I'm talking about you can't even add numbers to your days. You can't add hairs on your head. You can't, if you want, yeah, you can put chemicals. They have Rogaine and stuff, but like, you have to have tools to do that, which means you're not really a god. I'm not a god. We're not. I guess, I don't know. I'm just not impressed. Like, why do I need to call myself a god if me being a quote unquote god just looks like a human? What's the point?
Without any of the power of a quote god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the point? It doesn't look good on a resume either. Like, if I put it on my resume, yeah, by the way, yeah, I'm also a god.
Oh my god.
Maybe I would do that in that setting if I knew it would work. Otherwise, I don't know what would be the point.
I don't know. Somebody might just be impressed and hire you. So we could use a god around here.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be cool. If they did hire me, I wouldn't want to work there.
Yeah.
Man,
Well,
that
the
means
expectation would be very high.
yeah, I know. I'd be working amongst a bunch of other gods too, though. Like, man,
Well, yeah, think about your review, your performance review. Well, we haven't seen any miraculous cures. Profits have not gone up significantly. And the water coolers are still full of water, not wine. So I don't know if, you're really meeting the expectations of this God thing.
yeah,
I think
You know, the,
validity is only real if there's capability. Like, you can't be virtuous if you're incapable of being violent. Because you cannot be violent, so you don't do violence, that doesn't make you virtuous. That makes you weak and incapable. But if you're capable of doing violence, but you have the power to restrict it, that's the ability of being virtuous. If you lack capability, then you're not valid. You're just weak and unable, and you're faking virtues. You have to possess the ability and then have the understanding to restrict or apply. And that's what creates a validity. So if you want to be a god, or you want to be something that possesses the attribute of power, you have to first be capable of power and then learn how to restrict and assess it. You can't say I'm good, yet you don't have the ability to do anything that could be evil, because that means you just don't have the power or the ability. You must possess all capacity and then learn how to restrict or apply. It's false. Like a good person would say, I'm a good person, I don't hurt anybody. And I was like, are you able to do violence? And it's like, no, of course not. I was like, well, that's fake piety. If you know that you can do violence, but you choose to restrict it, then I would say that's a virtuous act. But if you are unable to do violence, and then you say, I never do violence, that's a false piety. That's not real. You have to possess capability for it to be real.
Yeah. Actually, Noah is on. Noah
hello,
Cloud.
Noah.
Welcome, Noah. Good to have you here.
I
He
think that's
says,
what makes
was good.
a god really a god. They possess the ability to do anything, but they choose to do some things. They don't do everything. I think that's what makes a god a real god. If there is a god, they could literally do anything,
Right.
but they don't do everything.
Right.
They hold the capacity.
Potential.
It's false gods are the ones that act false pious. I'm a nice person. I'm kind. But you're only that way because you're weak and cowardice because you can't do violence. That's a false piety. That's a false god. You're just pretending that you're good, but that's just because you don't understand what it means to restrict wrath.
Yeah. Chris says, is Jesus God? Yes. He was both man and God.
Jesus believed he was God, and his followers believed he was God in that ancient world. So
yes,
Christians naturally believe that.
I was going to say, as a Christian, yes, I definitely believe Jesus is God. Noah says, people keep trying to hire me. Well, there you go. Knocking on your door, banging the door down. And Chris said, your body will go, not quote you. That's true. Your body gets left behind, and your essence, your soul, your spirit moves on. And Noah says, does God poop? Well, I don't believe God poops, but Jesus certainly did because he was fully human. So I think that was
Well,
to
God
be
can
fully
poop.
human means,
Sure,
well, God can.
Sure,
If he
God.
wants
No, I'm
to.
talking about God could poop. It's just your God. I mean, who's God? I mean,
Oh, who's God?
sure,
No.
God can poop.
Well, I was kind of assuming he meant the Christian God, but
Right, but you're asserting that your God's the right God.
yes, according to my belief,
I'm just
that
saying,
is
if
true.
the question, can God poop? Sure, God could poop.
Yes, because if we're all God, yes, and we all poop,
Just
that's
the
true.
idea of, yeah, God could poop.
Yeah. Yes.
To respond to Chris Humble's statement, your body will go, but not you. Yeah, I've thought about that a lot as well, and have had conversations with people about that. They often also say, now I don't know what your position on this is, Chris Humble, but a lot of times people say that our souls are eternal. We were never created. We had an entire spiritual life in a different reality before we jumped into this reality. Some people say reincarnation and all that. So we lived in different human bodies or different animalistic, animated bodies, maybe a grasshopper or a tree or something living. And then we kept switching it up. Either way, it doesn't... Every time I ask this question, nobody seems to have an answer. And neither did Buddha or anybody else. These wise people. Why can't we remember our previous life? And then the answer is that I always get is, well, because we purposely make ourselves forget it. And then I ask, why? And then they say, well, because they have different reasons, because nobody really knows. All of us gods were so ignorant, right? None of us gods really know why we chose to erase our memories before we came into this existence. Memories and knowledge, mind you, that could have actually helped people. Like, you want to talk about love. If I have all this information before I came into this body, information that could have saved people, helped marriages, helped orphans, helped people, I could have actually loved people, and that's what I deleted from my mind just so I can come into this stupid body. That's what I gave up, was love, so I can come here to be what? To be this grotesque, nasty creature that has to shower every day, otherwise I stink. I got to brush my teeth. I have to poop, defecate, piss all over the ground. That's what I wanted to give up love for, was to be this thing that's going to die and get old and wrinkly and saggy. That's what I gave love up for. The knowledge that could have helped people. I could have helped myself. I could have helped everybody, the hurting people, kids dying in the hospital right now. I could have helped them, but I gave that knowledge up. I don't know. That's really hard to imagine a God doing out of pure selfishness. I have a hard time with that. It's like, man, that's a selfish God. What I would be the most selfish God, and all of us are the most selfish gods. We could have helped people, but we gave up that knowledge that could have helped people just to get into these stupid, crooked bodies. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but maybe you have an answer. I know I'm downplaying it just because I'm tired of asking the question and getting the same answers that either we don't know or some people say, well, because then we would have had to figure life out. We wouldn't have to figure life out. You wouldn't have to figure life out. You would actually have, because that's the whole part of this human experience. You're here. You came here, erased all your previous knowledge of how to help people and all that. You came here so that way you can experience life. And then the people that tell me that, I'm like, okay, so we chose to live in this body? Really? Yeah. You selected the body you lived in. Nobody knows why, but you did. It's like, okay, so some of these gods out here are selecting babies that are getting aborted? That's the body they chose to go in? They chose to be in a handicap wheelchair. Somebody's struggling with mental illness, serious disabilities. A god chose that body to be born into? Really? That's what we're expected to believe? Something's just not adding up. There's too many. These aren't just questions. These are plot holes that don't seem. There's more consistent systems out there, I guess is what I'm saying. There's much more consistent systems than this one so far, because we there's all these holes in this boat and we can't seem to patch them fast enough.
Well, you can make the argument if there's an objective. Like if you say supposed to be this N archetype, then you could make the argument that in your state, in your previous life, you accomplished this much, but now you need to enter a different type of situation so you can learn more, getting closer to the archetype. So you might have to get in a suffrage situation, which will help you learn about this thing and this, but there has to be an end goal. If there is no end goal, then it's just all arbitrary.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's say, okay, so I purposely, as a god in the previous life, I purposely chose to live in the body of a child with leukemia. Mm-hmm. I go through that suffering. I learn what it's like. Cool. I get that experience, and now I get that experience. I get the knowledge of that, but then I erase it all.
No, I wouldn't.
So, I just all just dump it.
What
trash,
I'm saying
delete,
is
trash
if
bin.
there's like this archetype that you're trying to get to, whatever that is, then you probably have this like stage of kind of like if you win awards in a game, there's like this memory bank, and every time it adds more building into this like spiritual archetype, and then every time you come back, you are now assessing more knowledge, which builds more closer to this spiritual archetype, and eventually the goal is to get to this last archetype.
I get that, I know, but what's the point in getting all this knowledge and experience if you're going to delete it all? You can't. It's not going to help anybody. You cannot use that knowledge to help people here on Earth.
What they would say is that it deletes on this side, but it stays in the spiritual realm. Like you have the spiritual archetype.
Yeah.
And what good does it do when there's real people hurting and crying? And I'm over here, this God, right, claiming I love people so much, but I refuse to help them. I could have actually just kept all that knowledge and experience and information, but yeah, I'm good. I'll just delete it all before I come to this body.
And it depends on the person and what they're trying to say the objective is. It depends what the objective is. If the objective is individualistic, like I'm supposed to obtain this thing, then it's not universally applicable. It's my experience helps me build this archetype I'm trying to be. If it's a universal collective, well, then, yeah, you should share that ability. But then some people use that. They'll say there's a universal consciousness, and then your experiences add to that consciousness, which then it creates a new form of consciousness, which is a derivative of those things, which then you show yourself in talents, and those talents are manifestations of all these consciousness that manifest in different formats.
Many people have told me the objective is love.
I'm not saying I believe all that. I'm just saying these are end goals, but you have to be consistent in your end goal.
So many people have told me that the end goal is love. That's the ultimate objective.
That's tough.
And so love, and specifically so you can love your neighbors. Mm-hmm. So next time you come to Earth, you can love your neighbors because you can really feel what they went through. And again, you can't, because based on this very system, you cannot take your previous knowledge into the next life with you. So you will not know all that love you experienced and the love now that you know. You cannot take it with you in the next life. You have to dump it all.
That's what I'm saying. They may be able to assert it manifests through talents and proclivities. You may not have epistemological functions, like you don't cognitively know the past, but it comes through the talents. It comes through my desires. That's where it manifests. But you may not epistemologically know these things.
Yeah. If you bring any knowledge and information from the past life into this life, then you should be able to remember, and this is where, again, the system has a big plot hole.
Well, you might not be able to remember the actions. You just are amplifying your talents.
Yeah, you should be able to remember something. Now, one person told me, this is what dreams are. That it is you remembering former lives. Maybe you've lived 30 different lives. That's why you have many different kinds of dreams and stuff like that. I've played with that idea a lot. That actually satisfies that plot hole for me. But there's so many other plot holes that I can't ignore it. Every religious system has plot holes. Every system has plot holes and boogeymen or whatever. But The goal is to find, if any of these systems has the truth, it would be the one with the least amount of plot holes. The boat that's going to float the longest in the end of the day is going to be the one with the least amount of holes. So that's what ultimately I'm looking for. That's where truth would be, is the most consistent. Because if truth can't contradict itself, then it ceases to be truth, and then everything's relative again. And that obviously doesn't work.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
That was it. No, really, you go ahead.
I was just going to make a dumb joke, actually. I didn't want to interrupt you, but
oh, please, by
I was
all
going to
means.
say, do you know what else floats? Turds.
That's true. God's turds. God's poop.
And the only way I can make any kind of reincarnation thing work is if you had like a video game. You know, like I said earlier, there has to be like this space, like a video game. Like there's a place where you can save all the, like save, you know how when you go through levels, you can save all the things you've been gathering.
You back up, you save it,
and
so
then
that
those things get a
restore
certain
point.
thing. And when you come back, it's like you just get those talents. You don't get the memories, but you might get talents and abilities that help you gain more. And they're just levels. It's almost like playing a video game. It's probably the only way I can assert. But there has to be this weird spiritual realm where you can save this. And it's only for you, too. It's proprietary for you. It's like you're a player, and you are saving your place and your gatherings and gifts. And then you'll be able to use those. Again, you might not have the memories, but you'll have these gifts and abilities. And they help you gain more in the next level. And the next, this is like some video game.
It's actually, that's more like what they call the egg theory, which we've talked about a few times.
And I'm just saying reincarnation. I'm not talking about specific reincarnation beliefs, but any kind of reincarnation. I think you have to have some video game thing. Yeah, because I'm not saying certain specific. There's many reincarnation beliefs. But I think all of it would require some kind of weird, like, saving progress.
The point is the love that is purported by this reincarnation idea isn't the love that people think it is. People think it's about selflessness, but it's not. Even in the egg theory, if you are going through everybody's life on Earth, living out their entire existence, and then dying, and then you go to the next person, until eventually you live through every single person's life who has ever lived, it's all for you. It's not for other people. You cannot change the course of history. You have to live as Hitler. You have to live as Epstein. You cannot alter the course. Otherwise, because if you do, then you ruin the entire system. You have to live through every single person's unique experience. Billions and billions of people throughout all of time. You have to live through each one. You don't have a free will choice. You're not there to help anybody. You won't even know. When you're Jeffrey Epstein, you will not have any recollection of your previous 9 billion lives. Because if you did, then you wouldn't do what Jeffrey Epstein is about to do. You have to do what Jeffrey Epstein did. Otherwise, you destroy the whole system. So you cannot have that. You're not there to help people. You're actually there to hurt people in those lives. And that's the cold reality of the egg theory that nobody likes to talk about.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. Like, you have to live through every
Well, I know. What I'm saying is, but this idea will propose this idea of love, and that's what it's all about, is to gain the experience.
That's true.
And really, it's just about yourself.
If you could go through
Selfishness.
every experience in all reality and somehow obtain all of that, and then somehow be able to compute all of that, and then somehow at the end make axioms that derive every one of those experiences to its logical end, maybe. But but if you did that, that means everybody else is doing that, which then everybody should come to the same conclusion.
Well, they try to say, see, and that's why you better treat your neighbor good, because remember, that's going to be you one day. You are actually going to be your neighbor, so you need to love your neighbor, because if you don't, that's going to be... But it's a false idea. It's like, you can't even if you wanted to. You have to do what this person is doing in these shoes.
It actually fails logically because of a future regression. What that means is the first person that was ever human, they're still waiting, because until the last human is created, you can't experience all experience. That means the first human has still not succeeded at becoming whatever you're supposed to be, because the future is still progressive. So it just logically never can happen, because humans have to end for this cycle to ever manifest a real love. So it's
true.
Perpetual.
I guess I never even thought about that, but yeah, there has to be a cap. That means humans have to cease to exist
at some
one day.
point. So now you can say, oh, we're done experiencing life.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be infinite.
Right. That is a future regression. Like there's an infinite this way digression, there's a future regression. It's just it's like infinity.
Well, it's supposed to be a contained system, like an egg. That's why they call it the egg
because
theory.
humans will be here until humans are done. So the first human is still waiting, and will continue to wait. So that means no human has ever experienced love.
Oh, well, that's the problem with not working systems. But they sound nice on the face value until you start teasing it apart. So, and that's what I like to do for the sake of love and truth. Elder, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, we got like 1 minute.
Yeah, we got 1 minute. I got all kinds of thoughts, but I would say it was a pretty decent discussion, and I just want to shout out to Chris, who really participated in. I mean, like all of our people in our chat obviously participate, but Chris really put a lot of good questions out there and sparked a lot of thought, and that's appreciated. And maybe in the future, you'll be able to come on and we can actually talk. And you don't have to worry about your makeup. You can come on without your makeup. The three of us are here each week without our makeup, and we do okay.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that eyeliner's a killer.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I thought you would never notice.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it from me.
All right, well, it was a jam-packed conversation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it at all ways. Tune in this Saturday. Have another great pre-recorded episode. I'm not sure what we're going to title this one yet, but you guys can tune in on Saturday. If you guys have any questions that you want to tackle, go into the live stream section on the Discord, post articles, post questions, and we'll try to tackle those as well. If not, just tune in again next Thursday with more questions, and we'll have a good conversation as always. But
people always bring in these deep conversations in the last 30 minutes of.
Well, actually, Noah said the last 2 minutes it gets deep.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we've been talking about this. We've been having some good points this whole time, though.
Yeah, this whole thing. Yeah, this time. Usually, it's not like this. We're trying to find something to talk about.
No, you got to try. You got to try, man. A little harder to get in earlier.
Yeah, we've been having a good conversation for at least good 2 hours.
Yeah, put your back into
we always
it.
We always enjoy your insights and your input. So,
we need that cloud. But as always, there's a fine gentleman here. That's colleague. A fine gentleman there. That's Elder.
Yo.
And I'm host.
With the most.
Yeah. But until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed this conversation. See you guys next Thursday and tune in on Saturday. But this has been the Matrix Network Live, a byproduct of toilet smear television. We're out of here.
Is this something new? Toilet